Yeah.
Alrighty, welcome back. Today we have a Rooster Tail, ½ ounce, that needs to be repaired. As you can see, all the hair has been ripped clean off. And I also don't like the placement of exactly where they put it, because the body doesn't seem to want to spin a lot. It gets caught. So what we're going to do is we're going to repair this kind of the way I do it versus the way Rooster Tail does it. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the lure off. So I start right at the hook. We're going to cut right below the hook. So now we're going to inspect the hook, and unfortunately I don't think we're going to be able to salvage this one, because you can see the treble's bent out pretty well, and with the amount of rust, most likely when you go to straighten it out, it's going to snap off. So we're going to get a new treble hook around the same size. Might not be the exact same size, but we're going to get as close as possible. And that one seems to be fairly close in similarity. I unfortunately don't have every size treble hook, but I do what I can. So the way I do this, we're going to start with the treble hook. We're going to lock it into our vise. Make sure it doesn't go anywhere. And then we're going to pick a bobbin. Now this has red thread on it currently, which I'm okay with a red thread. Doesn't really matter the thread color. And then we are going to get some white bucktail. Here we have a white and brown mixture. I'm going to try and get as much just solid white as possible. So the way I do this is I get a small portion, nothing too insane. We're going to take, before we do that, we're going to start our thread. And the way we're going to start it is we start at the bottom. And you're just going to hold both sides. Logan, if you want to come around here, take a real close look. And all we're going to do is start wrapping from the bottom up, and it's going to hold your string. And we're going to cut the tag off. Where are the scissors? Sorry. We're going to take this sharp knife and just cut it real quick. And then we're going to wrap. Continuous, kind of tight turns. You want it to look a little more uniform. Try not to catch the hooks, because they will fray your line. Okay? So then, now that we've got that started, we're going to go all the way back down to the bottom, because you want to wrap from the bottom up. I need those scissors.
They're probably up there somewhere.
Yep, we have scissors right here in the drawer. So we're going to take our scissors, and we're going to cut just a small portion. Bucktail. We're going to lay it right on top, in between the two treble hooks. And we're going to start by just a light wrap, nothing too tight, otherwise it's going to twist it. And we want to make sure to kind of hold it to where it doesn't twist. We're going to start with that one, and then we're going to end up cutting off as much hair as possible without cutting our line. We're going to grab another section, another chunk of hair, cut off the bucktail, put it on the next segment. So we have some up top here. So now we're going to go in between these two trebles, kind of keeping the length similar. And we're going to start with another wrap. Another 2-3 wraps, nothing too crazy. Trim this. Now it's not going to look perfect yet, but once we get closer, it'll look much better. And then we are going to get a third chunk for the underside. I'm going to get another piece of bucktail, cut it, under the string. Just gonna go around nice and easy. We're gonna cut off all the excess. Kind of trim it up, make it look a little nicer. We don't want it flying everywhere. I wish I could find those small scissors. Oh, found them. So I use a little bit of detailing scissors, nice and small. You can kind of get in there real good. And like I said, just make sure not to cut your line, your string, because there is string underneath this, and if you cut it, it'll fall apart. And then all you're going to do is wrap. Nice tight turns, if you can see. Tight together. I'll make sure they're not going too far. And then you're going to come back down for kind of a second wrap. And then you want to kind of end up in the middle. Now, the way we tie this off, pull out a bit of length. And I start finger on top. And I leave it open like such. Where'd those scissors go again? Right here. Cut. Back over the finger. Cut the string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our hand in here and grab this string, pulling over and doing it yet again. Now this is a, if I'm not mistaken, this is a double half hitch. You're going to tighten it on. You're going to go again. Go 1, 2. Tighten it back down. Don't pull too tight, you will break this thread. 1, 2. And then we're going to pull tight. And then all we're going to do is just cut what remains. Kind of close, but not too close that it'll fall apart. And then all I use is just a simple fingernail clear nail polish to make sure that this seals and it does not fall apart. We're just going to brush it on. Take the hook off, and then I hang it to dry on one of these nails. It's open. Now, we're going to continue with the Rooster Tail 1/2 ounce. So we're going to cut the top off. We're going to take out the clevis and the spoon. Then we have a bead and what looks like a disc right below it. And then we're going to take the body off. And we're going to get our length of wire, about like such. We're going to start with these pliers. Bend over, bend over. And we are just going to bring it together and make the top on. You don't have to go extreme on these. The stainless steel wire is extremely tough, extremely strong. A couple of wraps, good to go, and then cut your tag off. Now we are going to reassemble. You take your clevis, put it back on. Remembering to make sure that your spoon, when you hold it, it's facing the correct direction. It's not backwards. And we're going to drop our bead. Our flat disc. And then our lure body. I like to straighten these out a little bit. It always comes really wired. And then all we're going to do, now this one we're not going to send back into the body. This is a very thin body, so we're going to do this one a little differently. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to wrap the bottom here. We're going to do a little bit of a back bend, then come back around to make sure that the treble hook stays on straight. Going to grab our hook. We're going to trim a little bit more of this bucktail off. Going to reapply. Make sure it stays in the crook, in the bottom crook. And then we are going to start out by twisting. Just the same as we did up top. Couple quick wraps, 2, maybe 3, because this stainless steel is extremely tough and durable. All we're gonna get is that nice little wrap. Kind of straighten your lure out, make sure it looks nice. Looks pretty good. Bring this back in tight. Cutting off the excess, maybe. Having a little bit of problems with that one. Those are a little bit worn out and beat up. These are a little better when it comes to cutting wire. And that is it. There you have your rebuilt Rooster Tail 1/2 ounce. As of right now, it looks a little nutty, a little wide, but it will, once it gets in the water, it'll tighten up. And then if you feel these are a little bit too long, you can always come at them a little bit sideways, downward angle, and kind of trim them up a little bit if it's just a little too long. And there you have it. There's your rebuilt MEPS.